So the talk deliberately is on all the activities. It's not just the contesting bit. So we recognise that you're not all into contesting, but we wanted to tell the story. And we cribbed a bit from the convention that we went to the other week. The contest is only one bit of it, but there's a lot of activity at the beginning and during, and then the contest just a bit, and then there's a bit after. So we try and tell the whole story about it. So to do that, me and my fellow contesters, or Orkneyites or DXpeditionites, are going to split it all up. So I'm going to do the intro, and we'll pass on to the guys and go through. So for those of you that don't know, Islands on the Air is a competition organised by the RSGB. It's in its 50th year. Roger Pallister, who's a dear friend of ours, who organised it, and it's the object of the programme is to contact as many islands as possible around the world. And it's just a way of getting people on the air, having a bit of interest, and also giving people something to do. Fortunately for us in the UK, we are an island. We're Echo Uniform 5. So we don't actually go anywhere, you can do it from here. But there are 80,000 licensed members that come to Ofcom, and if you just say like 10% got involved with this, that's 8,000 people you're up against. So you don't really stand out, really. So if you go somewhere remote, you stand a better chance of people wanting to contact you rather than just another Echo Uniform 5. So it does improve our chances. So England, just for reference, was claimed by 93% of people. Orkney, surprisingly, was 72%, so it's a little bit lower. When we did Holy Island a couple of years ago...
2011.
Yeah.
2011.
2011, was it? 3 years ago. That was about 40%, something like that. So the more remote you go to, the more suddenly people come to you like a, Mr. Honeypot, whatever, you become very popular. Okay, so what we're going to talk about, I said, we're going to do it as a split group. So I'll just introduce what we're going to do. We thought we'd say, start with, why do we do it? Because a lot of people, when I say I do amateur radio, they say why. And if I go to Southern Ireland, they say why. So we're trying to explain why we did it. Then we'll talk about Orkney and the actual location we picked. And we have if you're not aware, we have an Orcadian in the group, and he will give us the insight into what Orkney life's about and a bit of the history. And he'll also tell you about where we operated from. Then we'll talk about what is commonly modern known as logistics. It's travel and accommodation. How did we get there? Where did we stay? And how did we organise it? And what was it like? Then we'll go into some technical detail about the site, how we set the aerials up, and then how we set the station up in that environment. And then we'll talk about the contest itself, which includes a little bit about the contest, how we manage the contest, because you don't go into these things just randomly, you've got to have a bit of a strategy. We may then do the video, I'm not sure. We'll do the video then, and then we'll come back and do the conclusions, or we'll do the results and conclusions. But there is a video to go with it. So if you treat this as sort of like a story from beginning to end, you'll then get it run all again in full technicolor of the video. Video lasts about that. So the chalk and talk lasts about an hour. We can have a cup of coffee, then we'll come back, we'll maybe do the video, and then we'll just conclude, and then we'll talk about what next. Alright, next one. So why do we do it? Well, why did we do it? It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but for me, it gets me at the house. It's a challenge, better than watching TV. And if you're working for a remote operation, there's challenges involved. So you've got to, I like challenges like that. That's me. So, you go somewhere, and as I mentioned before, if you're a remote place, then people are going to be more interested in what you're doing than if you just sat in your shack in the UK. You also get to meet locals, and believe you me, when you start to plan these activities, you have to talk to the locals, because you are going to an island you may not have been there before. You've no idea what is allowed, what's not allowed, what you can do, what you can't do. So you have to meet the people, you have to build up a relationship, you have to find out about the island, what their local rules are. If you're going to go there and start putting aerials up, they may get upset. So you've got to pave the way to actually go into an island and set stuff up. And in doing so, you get to meet the people. And you know about the culture. And sure enough, there's a lot of culture in Orkney. And it's an adventure.
It's still very
It is an adventure and it's fun. Because you, as I say, you don't know what's around the... You know what, you spend a lot of time thinking about it and planning it, but life doesn't always work out that way. So off you go and you just jump into the abyss and hope for the best. And it's fun. We had a good laugh, I can tell you. You see places of interest, again, things you may not have seen before. And in line with the contesting bit, it's competitive. It's part of the contesting element. That we compete with others. Not mine.
Do you throw your voice? In my pocket.
So last of all, the bit I was trying to make is last of all is the contest. The rest of it is the contest. Next. So, bearing in mind the objectives of the contest, what's our objective? Well, to be competitive in a contest, first and foremost, you've got to have, you've got to be able to build your station, because it's not there if you're going to a remote station. It's got to be reliable. There's no point in going there if it breaks in the first half hour. And believe you me, in the stuff we've done up at Reno, we've had issues like that. So we have to make sure it's reliable. And more of that later. You've got to work as a team, because you're going to be staying on an island, possibly in the same accommodation with people that you may not have, shared a house with before. So you've got to get on with them. The station's got to be competitive, so you could take a portable station, but with pile-ups, when you've got some big signals out there, you've got to have a little bit of power to be able to break the pile-ups. You've got more and more these days, you've got to use a source of information to our benefit. Lots of people out there, I heard of one station, we're talking to the guy at the station, on their contest station, they have a separate station for each band. They have, 9 SDR receivers monitoring really big time. You can just work small station, but we're trying to get to the point we're using information. So we're using band conditions, we're using propagation conditions, we're using DX cluster, all that sort of stuff, and you'll hear about that later. You've got to keep the cost of the budget. I don't know if you saw the video the other week that was $500,000. We're nowhere near that. We're trying to keep it to a budget. Obviously,
keep it under $500,000.
They classed it was successful because it was less than $500,000. But they did go to the other side of the world and it took them 90, whatever. So cost is an issue to us. We're not, we're not millionaires. But inevitably, petrol and transport is a big cost. But most of the stuff we make ourselves, or we try and borrow, or whatever, and keep the cost down. And last of all, you've got to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, what's the point in doing it? And again, really trying the fun bit. Right. So, at this point, I will hand over to Tom. Tell us about Orkney.